The listing popped up on my phone at exactly 3:47 a.m. Tokyo time. I nearly choked on my coffee when I saw my grandmother's Victorian house staring back at me from Zillow, price tag $320,000. My hands trembled as I zoomed in on the familiar wraparound porch where I'd spent countless summer evenings with Gran, drinking sweet tea and watching fireflies dance. I'm Angelina, and that house was supposed to be mine. Not just in the way children assume they'll inherit family treasures, but legally, through a handwritten, notarized will Gran had shown me before I left for my job in Japan 4 years ago. This can't be happening, I muttered, frantically dialing Milena, my best friend back home. The time difference meant nothing now. Mealy, are you there? Someone's selling Gran's house. What? That's impossible. Your name is on the deed. Her voice crackled through the speaker. Apparently not impossible enough. I was already booking a flight home while we talked. I need you to do me a favor. Don't tell anyone I'm coming back. 36 hours later, I stood on the sidewalk in front of my childhood home, staring at the for sale sign that seemed to mock me with its cheerful red letters. The locks had been changed. My key didn't work. The garden Gran had lovingly tended was overgrown, her prized roses fighting for space among the weeds. A sleek BMW pulled into the driveway, and my mother Angela stepped out, freezing when she saw me. "Angelina, what are you doing here?" Her perfectly maintained smile didn't reach her eyes. "Funny, I was about to ask why my house is for sale." She laughed, the sound brittle and false. "Your house? Darling, this was your grandmother's home and now it belongs to the family. We all agreed selling was the best option." "All agreed?" I don't recall being part of that conversation. "Well, you've been gone for so long. We couldn't exactly wait forever for you to grace us with your presence." She fumbled with her keys, avoiding my gaze. "Why don't you come inside? We can discuss this like adults." The interior felt wrong. The familiar scent of Gran's lavender sachets had been replaced by artificial air freshener. Family photos had been rearranged, and I noticed immediately that the picture of Gran and me at my law school graduation was missing from the hallway. In its place hung a formal portrait of my parents. "Where's everyone else?" I asked, following her into the kitchen. "Your father's at work. Krista's showing the house to some potential buyers with our realtor, Cade. Harmony's at yoga, and Max is, well, somewhere." "And Gran's will? What happened to that?" Angela's smile tightened. "We had it properly reviewed. Everything was left to the family collectively. I'm sorry if you had other expectations, but that's the reality." I could have pulled out my phone right then, shown her the photos I had of the real will, the deed, the trust documents. But 4 years of handling real estate law cases had taught me timing was everything. So I smiled back, matching her false warmth. "I see. That must have been difficult for everyone." Relief flooded her features. She thought I was backing down. "It was, darling. But we're doing what's best for everyone. You understand, don't you?" "Of course," I lied smoothly. "Mind if I look around? For old time's sake? Just be quick about it. We have another showing in an hour." I walked through each room slowly, cataloging changes and collecting evidence with my phone's camera. In Gran's study, now converted to a home office, I found scattered papers about refinancing and loan applications. Interesting. A text from Milena lit up my screen. "Got the property records you asked for. Your name is still on the deed. They're trying to sell something they don't own." I typed back, "Perfect. Don't do anything yet. I want to see how far they'll take this." Footsteps approached. Krista's voice carried from the hallway, along with a man's smooth tenor. I slipped into the bathroom just as they passed. "The family's completely on board with the sale," Krista was saying. "Trust me, Cade, there won't be any problems." I waited until they moved downstairs before emerging. On my way out, I paused by the replaced family portrait, studying my parents' practiced smiles. Behind the frame, barely visible, was a corner of the photo it had replaced. My graduation picture with Gran, crumpled and stained with what looked like red ink. "Heading out?" Angela called from the kitchen. "Yes, thanks for letting me look around. I'll be in town for a while, catching up with old friends." "How nice," she said, clearly hoping I'd disappear again soon. I walked to my rental car, maintaining perfect composure until I was safely inside. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed Milena again. "They have no idea what's coming, do they?" she asked. "No," I replied, watching the house through my windshield. "But they will. I'm going to make sure of it." The memory of Gran's last days hit me as I pulled into First National Bank's parking lot. She'd been so clear, so deliberate about everything. "Angelina, come here, sweetheart." Her voice had been weak but determined. "There's something we need to discuss before you leave for Tokyo." I'd sat beside her bed, holding her fragile hand while she pointed to the fireproof box on her nightstand. "Everything you need is in there. The will, the deed, all of it. I've made sure it's properly notarized." "Gran, we don't need to talk about this now," I'd protested. "Yes, we do. Your mother, she's always been driven by appearances. And money. I've watched how they treat you, pushing you aside, diminishing your achievements. This house, it's your sanctuary, just like it was mine." Now, 4 years later, I walked into the bank, straight to the safety deposit box I'd rented before leaving. The clerk recognized me immediately. "Ms. Angelina, welcome back. It's been a while." Inside the private viewing room, I opened the box with trembling fingers. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. The original will, property deed, and trust documents, all bearing Gran's distinctive signature and official notary seals. My phone buzzed, a text from Milena. "Open house today at 2 p.m. Want me to do some reconnaissance?" "No," I replied. "I'll handle this one myself." I arrived at the open house wearing oversized sunglasses and a blonde wig from my Tokyo costume party days. The realtor, Cade, was holding court in the living room. "As you can see, this property has been in the same family for generations," he announced to the small group of potential buyers. "The current owners have decided it's time to pass this beautiful home to a new family who'll appreciate its character." I bit back a laugh. If only they knew. "And what about the title history?" asked an elderly man in a golf shirt. "Everything's clean?" "Absolutely pristine," Cade assured him. "We have a recently updated will that clearly establishes the selling party's right to transfer ownership." I edged closer, pretending to admire the crown molding while eavesdropping. "Speaking of the will," a woman in a business suit interjected, "my attorney mentioned something about a previous heir." Cade's smile flickered for just a second. "A minor complication that's been fully resolved. The new will supersedes any previous arrangements." I slipped away to Gran's study, now stripped of her beloved books and antiques. A manila folder lay carelessly on the desk, and I couldn't resist peeking inside. There it was, a poorly forged copy of Gran's will, dated just 2 months ago. The signature was close, but not quite right. Someone had clearly studied her handwriting. "Excuse me, this area is off limits during the showing." Cade's voice startled me. I turned, keeping my face partially hidden by the wig. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just admiring the woodwork." He ushered me out, but not before I snapped a quick photo of the forged document with my phone. Later that evening, I met Milena at a coffee shop across town. "Look at this," I said, showing her the photos. They actually forged her signature. Milena, who worked as a paralegal, studied the images. "This is amateur hour. The notary stamp is clearly photocopied. Who did they think would fall for this?" "Desperate people make desperate choices," I said, stirring my coffee. I visited the county records office today. The property's still in my name, but there's a pending transfer request filed last week. They can't transfer what they don't own, Milena pointed out. No, but they're trying. And look at this. I pulled up the bank records I'd gathered. 3 separate mortgage applications in my parents' names, all using the house as collateral. They're drowning in debt. What's your next move? I took a sip of coffee, remembering Gran's words. The truth always finds its way to the surface, sweetheart. Sometimes you just have to give it a little help. I'm going to attend another showing tomorrow, I said. But this time, I'm bringing copies of the real will. You're not going to confront them directly? Not yet. First, I want to understand exactly how deep this deception goes. Someone had to help them create that forgery. Someone had to file those transfer documents. My phone lit up with a text from Harmony. Are you really back in town? Can we talk? Perfect timing. I showed Milena the message. Looks like my sister's ready to crack. Be careful, Milena warned. Family loyalty can be complicated. I gathered my documents, tucking them safely away in my bag. Trust me, I learned that lesson years ago. But now it's time they learned something too. Karma doesn't forget addresses. As I drove home to my hotel, I passed by Gran's house one more time. The porch light was on, and I could see Krista inside, talking animatedly with Cade. They stood too close for a professional relationship, and suddenly another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. Oh, sis, I muttered, what have you gotten yourself into? I found Harmony at her usual spot, the local coffee shop where she taught yoga on weekday mornings. She was alone, nervously shredding a paper napkin into tiny pieces. Thanks for meeting me, she said, not quite meeting my eyes. I wasn't sure you would. Why wouldn't I? We're family, aren't we? I kept my tone light, watching her flinch at the word family. About that. She glanced around the nearly empty cafe. Things have been really messy since you left. I'm starting to see that. Want to tell me what's really going on with the house? Harmony twisted her hands together. It's mostly Krista. She's been pushing really hard for the sale. Her marriage is falling apart, and there are all these credit card bills. And the new will, the one that mysteriously appeared after Gran passed. I don't know anything about that, she said quickly. Too quickly. Harmony, look at me. I waited until she raised her eyes. We used to tell each other everything. Remember when we caught Max stealing from Mom's purse and we covered for him? This is bigger than that. Tears welled in her eyes. Krista said it was the only way. The bank was going to foreclose on her house, and Mom and Dad, they've been borrowing money from everyone. So they decided to steal my inheritance instead. They said you abandoned us, Harmony burst out. You went off to Japan and barely called. Mom said you didn't deserve the house anymore. I pulled out my phone and showed her the text messages, dozens of them, sent to my family over the past 4 years. Holiday wishes, updates about my life, questions about theirs, all unanswered. They blocked my number, I explained quietly. All of them except you, and you never replied either. Harmony's face crumpled. Mom said we had to present a united front, that you'd try to cause trouble. And the realtor? Cade? What's his role in all this? A flash of recognition crossed her face. He and Krista, they're together, have been for months. Her husband doesn't know. The pieces were falling into place. So, Cade helped create the fake will? I don't know exactly. I just know they meet late at night at the house, going through papers in Gran's study. Last week, I heard them arguing about percentages and commission splits. I leaned back, taking this in. Maybe it's for the best, I said carefully, watching her reaction. Maybe the house should be sold. You don't mean that, Harmony whispered. Gran wanted you to have it. I know because... She stopped abruptly. Because what? She reached into her bag with shaking hands and pulled out a crumpled envelope. I found this in Gran's jewelry box 2 months ago. It's her real will. I should have told you, but everyone said you were never coming back. My heart pounded as I looked at the familiar handwriting, now stained with red ink. What happened to it? Krista found me reading it. She got so angry, threw her wine glass across the room. That's what caused the stains. She said if I told anyone, she'd tell Mom about the money I borrowed last year. How much did you borrow? $3,000 for my yoga teacher training. I paid it back, but now they have leverage over you, I finished. Harmony nodded miserably. Everyone's desperate, Angelina. Dad's business is failing. Mom maxed out their credit cards trying to start some online boutique. Max dropped out of college and keeps asking for money. It's like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. And they think selling my house will solve everything? They think it's their only option. She grabbed my hand suddenly. Please don't tell them I told you. I can't handle any more drama. Maybe it's time for some drama, I said, standing up. Sometimes things need to fall apart before they can be fixed. What are you going to do? I gathered my things, including the stained will. For now, nothing. Let them think I believe their story. But Harmony? I turned back to her. You might want to distance yourself from what's coming. You're going to expose everything, aren't you? They made their choices. Now they get to live with the consequences. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Krista. Family dinner tonight. Mom insists. 7 p.m. Perfect timing. I texted back. Wouldn't miss it. In my rearview mirror, I saw Harmony still sitting at the cafe table, head in her hands. Part of me felt sorry for her, caught between loyalty and truth, just like when we were kids. But this wasn't about stealing from Mum's purse anymore. This was about justice and karma, and teaching my family that actions have consequences. I drove to my hotel to change for dinner, already planning my approach. They wanted to play Happy Families? Fine. I'd play along, right up until the moment I didn't. Time to set the table, I muttered to myself, and serve what they deserve. This cease and desist letter needs to be perfect, I told Milena as we sat in her law office. One wrong word and they'll find a loophole. Trust me, she said, typing furiously. By the time I'm done, they'll wish they'd never touched that house. She paused, looking up at me. Are you sure you want to go nuclear on this? They're still your family. Family doesn't forge wills or steal inheritances. I pulled out my phone and played the video I'd recorded that morning. Listen to this. In the recording, Cade's voice was clear. Just get your sister's signature on these transfer documents. Once the sale goes through, everyone gets their cut. 10% for me, the rest split between your parents and siblings. Where did you get this? Milena asked, eyes wide. Amazing what people will say when they think they're alone in a real estate office. I smiled. Being Cade's new intern has its perks. You didn't. 2 days now. He's too busy flirting with Krista to notice I'm documenting everything. The forged will, the fake notary stamps, all of it. Milena shook her head admiringly. Remind me never to cross you. My phone buzzed. A text from Max. Hey sis, got a minute? Need to talk. Speaking of family drama, I showed Milena the message. Time to see what baby brother wants. I met Max at the park where we used to play as kids. He looked terrible, unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes that smelled of stale cigarettes. You look rough, I said, sitting beside him on a bench. Yeah, well, life's rough. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Listen, about the house. What about it? I know what they're doing is wrong. The fake will, the secret meetings. I've seen it all. And you didn't think to tell me? He shifted uncomfortably. They promised me enough money to pay off my gambling debts if I kept quiet. But he pulled out his phone, showing me photos of documents spread across Gran's desk. I've been taking pictures, everything they've done. Why show me now? Because I'm scared, Angie. Krista's boyfriend, Cade. He's not just a realtor. He's got connections to some sketchy people. I overheard him talking about making problems disappear if anyone tried to stop the sale. I felt a chill despite the warm day. Are you saying he threatened violence? Not directly, but Max finally looked at me. Watch your back, okay? Back at my hotel, I filmed myself sitting at the desk, holding up the original will and deed. If you're watching this, something has happened to me, I said to the camera. These documents prove my legal ownership of 1242 Maple Street, inherited from my grandmother, Serenity Arnold. Any attempt to sell this property is fraudulent. I detailed everything, the forged will, the conspiracy, the threats. After uploading the video to a secure cloud drive, I sent the access link to Milena with instructions to release it if anything happened to me. That's when I heard it, glass breaking in the parking lot. I rushed to my window just in time to see a figure in black running away from my rental car. The passenger window was shattered, and my briefcase was gone. The police arrived within minutes, but I already knew what had been stolen. Gran's original will, which I'd stupidly left in the car while meeting Max. Just a random break-in, the officer suggested, writing his report. Nothing random about it, I muttered after he left. Milena called as I was sweeping up glass. They took the will. Please tell me you have copies. Multiple copies, all safely stored. But this proves they're desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. What's your next move? I watched a familiar BMW cruise slowly past my hotel, Krista's car. Time to accelerate the plan. Send that cease and desist letter first thing tomorrow. And, Milena, add a paragraph about criminal harassment and theft. What about the open house this weekend? Oh, I'll be there. I smiled grimly, with copies of everything they stole, plus a few surprises they don't know about yet. My phone lit up with another text from Max. They know you have proof. Be careful, I texted back. Too late for careful. Time for consequences. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat by the window of my hotel room, watching the street below, remembering Gran's words from one of our last conversations. The truth is like water, sweetheart, she'd said. It always finds its way out, no matter how many barriers people put up. I touched the window where my reflection overlapped with the streetlight outside. I hope you're watching, Gran, because what happens next isn't just about the house anymore. It's about justice, and karma's about to make a house call. My phone buzzed one final time. Cade's number. We should talk, privately. Tomorrow morning, your hotel lobby, 8 a.m. I typed back 2 words. I'll be there. Game on. Cade was waiting in the hotel lobby at 7:55 a.m., looking less polished than usual in wrinkled khakis and an untucked shirt. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he hadn't slept much either. Thanks for meeting me, he said, glancing nervously around the nearly empty lobby. Let's make this quick, I replied, choosing a seat with my back to the wall. I have a busy morning ahead. Look, I know you have concerns about the house sale. Concerns? I laughed. That's one way to put it. Another would be evidence of fraud. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. What's your price? Excuse me? To walk away. Name your figure. Everyone has one. I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Are you attempting to bribe me, Cade? He sat back quickly. I'm trying to resolve this situation amicably. Your family is under a lot of financial pressure. My family is committing fraud. With your help. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I slid a copy of his forged documents across the table. I've been working in real estate law for 4 years. Did anyone bother to Google me before trying this amateur hour scheme? The color drained from his face. Where did you get those? Your filing cabinet. You really should lock your office during lunch breaks. I smiled. Your intern says hi, by the way. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Krista. Where are you? Family dinner starts in 30 minutes. Looks like we'll have to cut this short, I said, standing. See you at dinner. What? Oh, didn't Krista tell you? The whole family's gathering tonight. Should be interesting. My mother's dining room was a shrine to forced perfection. Crystal glasses, fine china, and tension thick enough to cut with her sterling silver butter knife. Angelina, you remember where you sit? Angela said, gesturing to my old spot, the wobbly chair no one else would take. Actually, I think I'll take Gran's place tonight. I moved to the head of the table, watching my mother's smile freeze. That's your father's seat now, is it? Funny how quickly things get redistributed in this family. Darius cleared his throat. Let's just have a nice dinner. Absolutely, I agreed, unfolding my napkin. Let's talk about nice things, like how's the house sale going? Krista nearly choked on her wine. It's proceeding. Really? Because I heard there were some complications with the paperwork. Everything's in order, Angela snapped. Pass the potatoes. The potatoes, of course. Speaking of things being passed around. I pulled out a folder. Would anyone like to explain this? Inside were photos of the forged will, the fake notary stamps, and bank documents showing multiple attempted mortgages on the house. Where did you get those? Krista demanded. Does it matter? What matters is that they exist, just like the recording of Cade discussing how to split the proceeds. Max dropped his fork. Harmony suddenly became very interested in her plate. You're bluffing, Angela said, but her hand shook as she reached for her wine. Am I? Should we call Cade and ask him? Oh, wait, he's probably still recovering from our interesting chat this morning. You talked to Cade? Krista's voice rose an octave. We had a lovely discussion about fraud, forgery, and federal crimes. He even tried to bribe me. Wasn't very good at it, though. Darius stood up suddenly. That's enough. This house belongs to the family now. Really? Show me where Gran's will says that. The real one, not your crafting project. You abandoned us, Angela shouted. 4 years without a word. I pulled out my phone, showing the blocked number screen. Funny how that happens when someone blocks your calls. Harmony burst into tears and ran from the table. I heard her retching in the bathroom. You're ruining everything, Krista hissed. We need this money. Should have thought of that before committing multiple felonies. I stood up. By the way, how's your husband? Does he know about you and Cade? The color drained from her face. I'm giving you all one chance, I said, looking around the table. Come clean now. Admit what you did, and maybe we can work something out. Otherwise what? Max asked quietly. Otherwise, I have a meeting with the district attorney tomorrow morning. Your choice. Angela laughed bitterly. You'd send your own family to jail? You stopped being family the moment you tried to steal my inheritance. I headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and don't bother trying to destroy any more evidence. I have copies of everything. As I walked out, I heard Krista's voice crack. Mom, what are we going to do? I sat in my car, hands shaking slightly as I texted Milena. It's done. They know. Her response came quickly. You okay? I looked back at the house where I'd grown up, where Gran had raised me to believe in truth and justice. No, I typed back, but I will be. The war had officially begun. The open house was in full swing when I arrived. Potential buyers milled around the front yard, clutching glossy brochures featuring my grandmother's home. Cade stood on the porch, his practiced smile faltering when he saw me step out of my car. I'd dressed for battle, charcoal grey power suit, red bottom heels, and Gran's pearl necklace. Milena walked beside me, carrying a leather briefcase filled with documents. 2 uniformed police officers followed a few steps behind. "What are you doing here?" Cade hissed as I approached. "I live here," I replied loudly enough for nearby buyers to hear. "Well, technically, I own here." A middle-aged couple turned to look at us. The woman frowned. "Own? The listing agent said this was a clear title sale." "Did he?" I smiled. "How interesting. Officer Roberts, would you mind sharing what you found in the property records?" The older officer stepped forward. "According to county records, this property is solely owned by Angelina through an irrevocable trust established by Serenity Arnold." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Cade's face reddened. "There must be some mistake." "The only mistake," I cut in, "was thinking you could sell something that doesn't belong to you." Krista burst through the front door, freezing when she saw the officers. "What's going on?" "Just having a little title discussion," I said sweetly. "Want to tell everyone about the forged will, or should I?" The prospective buyers started backing away. One man pulled out his phone, presumably to call his lawyer. "You can't do this," Krista said through clenched teeth. "Actually, I can." Milena, my friend, opened the briefcase and began distributing copies of the real will and property deed to the remaining buyers. "As you can see," Milena announced, "any sale of this property would be fraudulent. The current listing is illegal, and the supposed sellers have no right to transfer ownership." "This is ridiculous," Cade sputtered. "I have documentation." "You mean this documentation?" I pulled out the forged will. "The one with the photocopied notary stamp? Or maybe you'd like to explain the backdated transfer papers I found in your office while working as your intern?" A woman in an expensive suit gasped. "Is this some kind of scam?" "Not anymore," Officer Roberts said. "Mr. Miller, we'll need you to come down to the station to answer some questions about these documents." Cade's professional demeanor cracked. "You set me up." "No, you set yourself up. I just gathered the evidence." The front door flew open again. My parents rushed out, stopping short at the scene before them. "What have you done?" Angela demanded. "Expose the truth, like I promised at dinner." Potential buyers were leaving in droves now. One man paused to rip his brochure in half before throwing it at Cade's feet. "You've ruined everything!" Krista screamed, lunging at me. Officer Roberts caught her arm. "Ma'am, I wouldn't advise assault charges on top of the fraud investigation." "Fraud investigation?" My father's voice shook. "Did you really think you could forge legal documents and sell a house you don't own without consequences?" I asked. Milena handed the second officer a thick file. "Here's everything. The forged will, fake transfer documents, recorded conversations about the conspiracy, and evidence of attempted mortgage fraud." "This is a family matter," Angela tried, her society smile cracking. "Surely we can discuss this privately." "We're past discussion," I said. "You had your chance at dinner last night." Cade was being handcuffed now, his realtor's badge removed. "Krista, don't say anything. Call my lawyer." "Your lawyer might be busy," I noted. "The State Real Estate Board is very interested in your recent activities." The police led Cade to their car while curious neighbors gathered to watch. Krista collapsed onto the porch steps, mascara running down her face. "What happens now?" Max asked quietly. He'd been standing in the doorway, watching everything unfold. "Now?" I walked past my shell-shocked family and unlocked the front door with my key, the original one Gran had given me. "Now I'm going home, and you're all leaving." "You can't just throw us out," Angela protested. "Actually, I can. Officer Roberts has a trespassing order ready if needed." Harmony appeared from around the side of the house. "I packed some bags," she said softly. "They're in the garage." "You knew about this?" Krista demanded. "I told her to be ready," I confirmed. "She's the only one who showed any remorse." My family stood frozen on the porch as I walked inside, Milena beside me. The house seemed to exhale, like it had been holding its breath, waiting for this moment. "You have 1 hour to collect your things," I called out. "After that, the locks are being changed. Again." As they shuffled inside to gather their belongings, I sat in Gran's favorite chair, running my fingers over the worn armrests. "You okay?" Milena asked. "Ask me tomorrow," I replied, watching my family's empire crumble one box at a time. The aftermath was like watching dominoes fall in slow motion. 1 week after the open house disaster, I sat in my lawyer's office while my family filed in, looking defeated. Their lawyer, a nervous man with a crooked tie, kept checking his phone. "Let's begin," my attorney said, spreading documents across the conference table. "We're here to discuss the terms of settlement regarding the attempted fraudulent sale of 1242 Maple Street." "This is unnecessary," Angela interrupted. "We're family. We can work this out privately." "Family?" I laughed. "Is that what you call people who forge wills and steal inheritances?" "We were desperate," Krista whispered. Her designer clothes were wrinkled, and her engagement ring was noticeably absent. Everything was falling apart. "So you decided to take what was mine? How's that working out for you?" Their lawyer cleared his throat. "My clients are willing to sign statements acknowledging the rightful ownership of the property." "That's just the beginning," my attorney replied, pulling out more papers. "We have documented evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery of legal documents, and attempted grand theft. The district attorney is very interested in pursuing criminal charges." Darius slumped in his chair. "What do you want from us?" "The truth, all of it. Starting with who came up with this brilliant plan." The room fell silent. Finally, Angela spoke, her voice barely audible. "It was my idea." "Mom!" Krista gasped. "Tell them everything," Angela continued, suddenly looking every bit her age. I started a business, an online boutique using Serenity's name. I thought it would be successful, honor her memory. But it failed. We lost everything." "So you decided to steal my house?" "We thought you'd never come back." Angela's composure cracked. "You were in Japan, building your perfect life, while we were drowning in debt. The house was just sitting there." "Just sitting there? It was my home. The only place I felt safe when you were too busy criticizing my choices to be actual parents." Krista started crying. "I met Cade at a real estate seminar. He said he knew people who could help create new documents, make the sale look legitimate. We were going to split the money, pay off our debts, and live happily ever after?" I shook my head. "How's that working out? How's your husband taking the news about your affair?" "He's filing for divorce," she whispered. "The DA's office is offering a deal," my attorney interjected. "In exchange for full confessions and testimony against Mr. Miller regarding the forged documents, they'll consider reduced charges." "Reduced to what?" Max asked. "Probation, fines, and mandatory restitution payments. But only if everyone cooperates fully." "And if we don't?" Darius challenged. I leaned forward. "Then I press full charges, and you can explain to your country club friends why you're wearing orange jumpsuits." Harmony, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "I'll testify. About everything. The wine-stained will, the late-night meetings, all of it." "Harmony!" Angela looked betrayed. "No, Mom, this has to stop. Gran would be ashamed of what we've become." My attorney pushed forward a stack of documents. "Sign these confessions and cooperation agreements. Now." One by one they signed. Angela's hand shook so badly she could barely write her name. "There's one more thing," I said as they finished. "I want you to look at this." I played the video on my phone. Security camera footage from Gran's study the night before she died. In it, Angela and Krista searched through drawers, pulling out papers. "You were looking for the will even before she passed," I said quietly. "You were planning this all along." "We were protecting the family legacy," Angela tried to explain. "No, you were protecting your lifestyle. Well, guess what? Legacy destroyed. Hope it was worth it." "What happens now?" Max asked. "Now? You all leave. Move far away. If I see any of you near my house again, I'll have you arrested for trespassing." "But where will we go?" Angela's voice quavered. "Not my problem. You've got 30 days to clear out of town before I file these confessions with the DA. I suggest you use that time wisely." As they filed out, Harmony lingered. "I really am sorry," she said. "I should have told you sooner." "Yes, you should have, but at least you told the truth eventually. That's something." Once they were gone, my attorney smiled. "That went better than expected." "Did it?" I stared at the signed confessions. "They're still my family." "Family who tried to steal everything from you." "I know." I gathered the documents. "Send copies to the DA and draft that restraining order we discussed." Walking out into the sunshine, I felt lighter somehow. My phone buzzed. A text from Milena. "Done?" "Done," I replied. "They signed everything." "Coming over to celebrate?" I looked at the stack of confessions in my hand, proof of my family's betrayal and their eventual karma. "No," I texted back. "I need to go home. My real home. Gran's roses need tending." Sometimes victory tastes bittersweet, but at least it tastes like truth. The autumn breeze carried the scent of freshly turned soil as I planted the last of Gran's heritage roses. The garden was coming back to life, just like she always said it would, with proper care and patience. My phone buzzed. A news alert about Cade's sentencing. 3 years for fraud and conspiracy, plus permanent revocation of his real estate license. Justice served, if a bit late. "Need help with those roses?" Harmony's voice startled me. She stood at the garden gate, looking uncertain. "I thought you were moving to Seattle." "I am. Tomorrow." She shifted her weight. "But I found something in my old boxes. Something you should have." She pulled out a small jewelry box, tarnished silver with Gran's initials. Inside was a letter, the paper yellowed with age. "Where did you find this?" "Behind Gran's vanity when I was packing. It's addressed to you." My hands trembled as I unfolded the paper, recognizing Gran's elegant handwriting. "My dearest Angelina, if you're reading this, then what I feared has come to pass. Your mother never understood that wealth isn't about money. It's about the richness of character. I've watched her influence poison this family for years, turning siblings against each other, measuring love in dollars and cents. The house is yours, not just because of a will, but because you're the only one who sees it as a home rather than an asset. If they betray you, let the house protect you. Its walls hold generations of truth and strength. But remember this, revenge might be sweet, but peace is sweeter. Once justice is served, learn to live again. Plant new roses. Make new memories. Don't let their darkness dim your light. All my love, Gran." I looked up to find Harmony crying. "She knew," she said softly. "She knew what Mom would do. She knew a lot of things." I tucked the letter into my pocket. "Want to help me with these roses?" We worked in silence for a while, our hands in the dirt, just like when we were kids. "I heard from Krista," Harmony said eventually. "She's moving to Florida. Divorce is final." "And Mom and Dad?" "Arizona. Some retirement community. Max is in rehab." I nodded, patting soil around a particularly stubborn root. "Good. Fresh starts all around. What about you? Will you stay here?" "Where else would I go? This is home." The doorbell rang. Milena with takeout and wine. She saw Harmony and raised an eyebrow. It's okay, I said. She's leaving tomorrow. We're just finishing the garden. Well, I brought enough food for an army. Join us? Over dinner on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, Harmony asked the question I'd been avoiding. Do you think you'll ever forgive them? I swirled the wine in my glass, thinking of Gran's letter. Forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting, or inviting people back into your life. But the anger, Harmony pressed, how do you let it go? By living well, by making this house a home again, by planting roses that'll bloom next spring. Milena raised her glass. To Karma, she's slow but thorough. To Gran, I added, who saw it all coming. To fresh starts, Harmony finished quietly. After they left, I sat on the porch swing, the same one where Gran used to tell me stories about family, loyalty, and truth. The house creaked softly in the evening breeze, familiar and comforting. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. I'm sorry. For everything. Mom. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Instead, I opened my laptop and started typing. Dear Reddit, you asked for an update on my family trying to steal my inheritance. Well, karma finally came through. The porch light flickered, an old electrical quirk Gran never fixed. Some things in the house I'd leave exactly as they were, little reminders of her presence. Others would change, making room for new memories, new stories. A car drove past slowly, probably neighbors curious about the renovation work. Let them look. Let them see the house coming back to life, the garden blooming again, the light in the windows burning bright against the darkness. I touched Gran's pearl necklace, still around my neck, and smiled. She was right. Peace is sweeter than revenge, but sometimes you need a little revenge to find your way to peace. The night air carried the scent of freshly planted roses, promising blooms to come. Tomorrow would bring more work, more healing, more life. But for now, I sat in the quiet evening, feeling the house embrace me like a long-awaited hug. Home. Finally. Truly home. And this time, no one could take it away.